Hi, guys. All right. Looks like we're going to make Thursdays our weapon day. So if you have a pair of sangjabangs, or if you're using that long tube sock to represent sangjabangs, go get your weapons. We will go over basics and an advanced trick with our sangjabangs. We will go over single bang mangi, so have that close by. And if you are drilling bow staff, have that close by. We are going to walk through each of these weapons with you today. So I'll give you a minute, get organized, go get your weapons. Make sure you have room to utilize the weapons you have, and we'll get started. So set your weapon down. Let's get some arms warmed up. If you have a set of weights, a small set of weights, go get them so you have a weight in each hand. I guess I could go get my weights since I said that.
She not prepared.
Are we ever?
Sorry about that. My backup singers left us with dead space. That's okay. All right, that's my fault for not being ready. They did ask me before we started. All right. You've got your either a pillow in each hand, a can of vegetables in each hand, weights in each hand. Let's warm up our shoulders just by doing shoulder shrugs. You're just up with the shoulders and down. Ready, go. I'll time it just because I'm not good at counting. Up and down to get started. Now roll your shoulders back, up, and back. Circular motions with your shoulders. Wow, my shoulder popped. I don't usually do that. Up and back. Squeeze as you go back. Pinch your shoulder blades. And reverse, roll your shoulders forward. Up and forward. We're only doing each of those for about 10 seconds, starting to wake up the muscles. And here we go. Arms out to the side, backward circles. I believe last time I did this was not with weights. We will see. Hi, Jim. I hope you got lots of room, buddy. I know you got that new bow staff ready. I know. If I said Jongbong, they'd go, huh? And forward.
One word. Bow and a staff are the same thing. Just call it a staff.
It's like yelling Kia.
You're my mother mom.
Woo! Hang on to it, hang on to it. Almost there. And down. All right. Simple curls, just one hand, then the other.
Work left feet are wide, and then you rock.
You dancing in and out? Side to side work?
I don't have weights here. I'm always at home. Only 15 pounds, though. Two sets of 50 now instead of two sets of 25.
Almost. And there. Last one I'm going to do is just punch straight out with your weight, your can, whatever you're holding. If you're not holding, get something. And rotate out. Punch out, pull it back.
The
Who?
Meals. Say hi, all.
Oh.
What's up, Niels?
Those shoulders warmed up, your arms warmed up.
If I said the name backwards, it would be
Sleen? I guess it would. One of those names that can be read backwards.
Well, I guess I could take that as if I was talking about one of them.
And time. All right. Weights away. Grab your sung jabang.
Ma'am.
All right. When we started, we went over Chariot, we went over Chumbi, and we went over ready position. If you have not got ready position figured out, warm up with it. Point at yourself, weapon down, turn the top one, stick your elbow through. Undo, other side, point, down, turn, elbow through. All right, 5 times, both sides. Go, just up and down. 1, 2, I guess I shouldn't count out loud if you're on a different pace than I am. You can go faster. If you're going slower, work on that because I am not very fast with these things. Okay? All right, we went over 360 wrist roll. So starting from your shoulder, like a triangle, you start on your side, cross to the other side. I lied, I just forgot my roll. Over the back of your hand, grab the opposite, rebound off your back, come back over, then back up to your shoulder. That is 1. So it goes down, across, back, to your side, circle up. That is 1 wrist roll. Both hands, go ahead and switch. Other side. You don't want to be good left-handed or right-handed. You want to be ambidextrous. Both hands. To your side, around the back of your hand, back across, and circle up. All right? You should do that on both hands about 20 times as fast as you can without dropping it. Challenge yourself later to accomplish that and time yourself. See how long it takes you to do it 20 times, and then the next time you practice, try to beat your own record. In our previous lesson, we practiced flip-flop. I call it flip-flop. What do you guys call it?
Normally call it flip-flop. It's a rodeo, but
Rodeo, they call it if
that's
you
what
read
says
it in the
that's what it
book.
says in the book. That's
Okay,
the only reason why
in the
they
black
start
belt
calling it
book,
that,
but
is
most of us
students
aren't black belts, so
follow
we
along.
call it flip-flop. So we're up on our shoulder. Let's see, I will stand sideways. I do it better on this side. One hand is facing outward. You're going to flip it over into your hand. Catch it. Don't turn your hand. Under your elbow, catch behind your shoulder. That's the flop. So it flips. Flop. Then you set it up just like our first technique. Side, side, circle, shoulder. Flip, flop. All right. That's in review. You want to also do that one in both hands. When you have to do this form, black belts, you'll do it exactly like white belt form. Half the form's on one side, half the form's on the other side. You have to be equally accurate with both hands. All right, the trick today or the skill today we're going to do is around the back, around the neck. So set it up on your right shoulder to start with. You're going to rebound off your hip, put it behind you. One in each hand, no string. Okay, so you've got this little bow tie above your butt. Pull it out on the other side. It's made a complete circle and angle to the opposite ear. It should flop over to your other shoulder. You're going to have to practice getting it there. Grab the other one, let go of your first hand, and pull it off. You're back in your right hand. So it goes around your back, catch, around your neck, catch, pull it off to make a complete circle. You're gonna find if you have long hair, it will get, notice I put my hair tied up today because I knew I was gonna be doing this. I really didn't. But if my hair is down, I get caught in my hair. So the around the back part is usually fairly easy. You go across your body to the right side, catch behind. Pull it out on the opposite side, the left side. Your hand needs to reach your ear. If you don't reach behind your neck, it's not going to go around and you're going to hit yourself all over the place. All right, you have to reach your hand, arm up. You beat yourself. It's got to be up. Grab the other side. Lift this off your shoulder. Pull it off and come up. All right? Set it up on your left hand. Uh-oh. Opposite side, behind the back, around the neck, catch, flip it off, circle up. That
It gets caught in the beard too.
I did not think of that. I did not. If he's stuck in his chin, I could see that. All right, so that's your new basic trick. Mr. Matthews Jr. is going to challenge you now.
Alright, so we're gonna do some advanced tricks with this weapon. I don't know which way you're at.
Am I out of the way?
Alright, in order to do most of the moves with this weapon are crossovers. So this is gonna be like an intermediate thing, and I'm gonna give you two variations for you guys that might have doubles that want to work it with both weapons. That thing's like tripping over something. Anyway, so we're gonna start with, you need to be able to do normal crossover, and if you can do this, it's preferably with both hands, then I want you to play with angles. So the easiest way to do this one is straight up and down, because I can do it slow enough where it stops and grab the other side. So that's the absolute easiest way to learn that move. And then once you're comfortable enough that you know how to open and close your hands without stopping, then you take it sideways. And then when you can get it to stop folding and it starts to look a little flatter like this, then you take it in different directions. So I go leg, hip, shoulder, hip. This is one of the few exercises that I used to practice with this weapon. You can also take it up and down, but that's awkward. It doesn't look as good, so that's why I don't do it. But anyway, so once I can do all directions, oh, and there's upside down as well. So it's all the same move. To do upside down, you also go backwards. So normally when I do that crossover, I start on my left hip and cross over to my right for the first one to get it upside down. But starting normal. To do the upside down one, instead of starting on my left hip, I just start on the same hip and go the opposite direction. Point my finger at the sky. And all the crossover is the weapon spinning perpendicular to your fingers. So wherever your fingers point, the weapon's going to spin opposite of that. So if I want it to spin flat, my fingers need to point up. If you point your finger up at the sky, it'll spin flat. All right, so that's all that's required to get those angles. So the move that you're going to practice is the inverted figure 8 crossover. This is, I used to say as a prereq is this one, but even though it's similar, it's pretty much the same move, it doesn't feel the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with just our hand, and we're going to go over what your hand does. We're going to start from our left hip, and we're going to go low block with my arm straight. If my arm is not straight, the weapon hits me, and I can't continue, right? Or if my hand's too close to me. So I need the weapon to not touch me over here. It can't touch you, otherwise you can't continue. Once I get to there, I'm going to do an inner form block, outer form block. So I'm going to go inner form block, outer form block. So I'm going to do 3 blocks here. Low block, inner, outer. Now with the weapon in my hand, but no spin, low block, inner, it's should be on the outside of the arm, outer, and now you swing it, let it hang. All right, so low, inner, outer. Low, inner, outer.
I'm new at this too, by the way.
Low, inner, outer. And if you can get this motion where the weapon is going in one fluid motion and you're starting this figure eight, then adding the crossover will be much easier, because doing the crossover to me is not the hardest part about this move. It is getting your hand to turn the weapon the direction you want it to face. Also notice that my hand is on the side of me, it's not in front of me. So you can do it right here, but it's really awkward and it doesn't spin that flat. So first thing I'm going to do is my normal crossover and not let the weapon touch me. It cannot touch you. If it hit your leg just now or your hip or something, you wouldn't have been able to continue it. It has to be just free swing. Now I'm going to do my backward crossover, but to get that momentum, I have to do that inner outer, because this is kind of like my chamber, so I can swing it backwards and swing it. And then you get that crossover. Once again, the angle is going to be dictated by where your hand is. So if I keep my hand pointed palm down, notice how the weapon spun this way. All right, to get it to spin flat, you need that hand up, fingers up. All right, and if you want at the beginning, put your hand way the heck up here. You're intimidated that it's going to hit you in the head, get it away from your head. But eventually you'll get comfortable with it. And then once you do that, you start going, last drill for this, crossover, couple extra spins, and I just make sure it keeps going. Now we give myself a 1, 2, 3, go. And try to hit my crossover without that stopping. So I want from here, this is the easy part, getting to here. Getting to the next part is the hard part, so this is the one I want to practice.
Sorry.
I want to practice going from upside down, notice I'm holding reverse grip, to that crossover without stopping. Just kind of going, so you're going here, and then you're changing direction. I'm not changing direction. The weapon stays sitting right at my head. That's pretty close. You just turn your hand more. Your hand's facing forward. My hand turns all the way out. My hand's facing all the way back in. You try to jump it. You try to let your arm bend when you go into outer form block. My hand's away from me here, but then when I go up, my arm's going to be bent so that I can keep the angle. Because if my arm stays straight, I'm not going to be able to get that flat. It's going to spin diagonal. All right, so same thing with two hands, two weapons, and grab my other one. If you have doubles, don't do these at the same time. They'll be moving at the same time, but don't do them like this, because it's awkward and you're not really going to get either one of them flat. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to stagger them. So obviously you have to get both the move on each hand. So if you can do one hand, get the other hand, and just the other hand. Just practice this to where it's like at least adequate. If it's not gonna, you're gonna have one hand that's better than the other. Obviously my right hand's better than my left. But if you can do it well enough, having both of them moving at the same time will take the time or take the focus off. And so now it's going to look like it's going faster than it is, because there's so much going on for the viewer to watch. So it looks pretty cool. In order to do it, you need timing. The move doesn't change, obviously. So once again, I have to get the move down. But I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And I'm making sure that there's a spin for both of those. So the setup would be crossover and strike with my left hand. So right hand's upside down, left hand's normal. Then from right here, both of these spins will happen at the same time. So this first one and this one happen at the same time. So get it spinning first, don't do it static. But and if I spin them both at the same time, even though they're going different directions, it's not as awkward. Now this hand, I normally spin into a normal figure eight crossover. And then this hand will do that outer spin. So I'm going to do those at the same time. Get this one going first, and then spin them both at the same time. Grab the string. Wow, it's weird to do it slow.
Jen says hi on your lunch break.
That timing is all you need. Hi, Jen. There, so hit that whole combo that I just did. Practice. Let's go to Bong Money.
That's me. Alright. So, Bong Bungy is not as flashy of a weapon, alright? It's not supposed to be a flashy weapon. Traditionally, they're about 2 feet long, and they're actually just a stick of wood, pretty much. So it's a stick of or as close as you can get to non-breakable wood, preferably one that doesn't splinter. So you'll see Mr. Matthew Sr. drag this one out a lot. But, you know, after you hit them a few times, they start to wither and get used and they'll break. But that's just the way wood is. So, because of the fact that they're not so flashy, they're really more meant for one-to-one or close combat. Obviously, because it's not very long, so you're going to want to stay close in order to do that. So we're going to go over what we did last week, which was our 9 striking lines, and then how to twirl. And then we'll go into something new, which will be the start of partner drills. So let's go ahead. We're going to have it in the right hand, hands up. We're going to go over our 9 striking lines. It was neck, neck, tummy, tummy, knee, knee, up, down, stab. So 1, neck, 2, neck. Make sure the weapon comes up after each strike. 3, tummy. 4, tummy. 5, knee. 6, knee. 7, up. 8, down. 9, stab. All right, pretty simple. Or at least I think it's pretty simple. Once you know the pattern, it's really hard to forget the 9 striking lines because it's the same for every weapon, actually. All right, you'll do the same thing with Song Jabong, with staff, with sword, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Sword, cane, really any, even Song Knots, which are the commas, it's still the same. So once you know the 9 striking lines for one weapon, you know it for all the weapons. It's just easiest to practice with Bong Money. All right, and then going over how to twirl the weapon, we start it straight up. We're going forward, we open our hand and we let the weapon fall forward, and then we use our thumb to pull it back up into our grip. Backwards, just same thing, really. You just let it drop backwards with your hand facing open, and you pull it back up with that thumb. A lot of this is all thumb motion. All right, so when you're able to get it to go fast, if you practice that chair drill I taught you, making sure that you're going in the straight line between the chairs helps a lot with that coordination. Moving on to partner drills. If you don't have a partner, pull out a bag or just something that you can focus on as a straight line. So we're only going to go over the first two. The first two, this is the same for both single Bong Bungy and double Bong Bungy. All right, it's just whatever you do to one side, you do to the other, pretty much. All right, so I'm going to have. All right. Anyways, I got distracted. So, anyways, we're gonna go over drill number 1. All drill number 1 is literally just strike 1, but you pull it back. You twirl it back. That's why we need to know both our 9 striking lines and how to twirl, because twirling back is just a natural thing that we do with this one. So I'm gonna face Miss Matthews. We're both gonna have right hand out, and we're going to tap the weapons as close as we can. Notice how we're tapping at the top of our weapon. I said last week this is the top 2 inches, about 2-3 inches is where we hit with the weapon, so that's what you're kind of aiming for. Once you hit, you bring it all the way back, and you just twirl back. That's all 1 is. So we bring it forward, we tap, we twirl back. Tap, we missed it, twirl back. Tapped, twirl back. And again, if you don't have a partner to do this with, go ahead, grab a bag. I have Bob here. I like to actually give myself targets with Bob. Since this is a 1 striking line, I'm going for the neck, so I like to make sure that I hit neck, come back, hit neck, come back. All right. The pedits are practicing. The pedits are practicing? Oh my goodness. Yay.
Your door frame
Yeah.
example. Maybe
Well,
put
that
a
was more
piece of
for-
tape on it.
Or yeah, if you guys don't have a bag at home, or you don't have someone to beat on, go ahead, find even just like a door frame or like a door. All right, Put something on both sides of the door, make sure that the door stays there, put a piece of tape, and that'll be what you hit every time. If you are going to practice on a door with your weapons, by the way, and you don't have a combat weapon, which is the big, really protected bong mangi, grab a towel and wrap it around your bong mangi, just rubber band it off. That way you have that extra protection so you're not beating up your doors. You don't want mom and dad or significant other being like, why are you beating up my doors?
They would not be happy
no.
if you leave dents or knock a door frame off. So
Exactly.
you're not working on power unless you have equipment to work on power with.
Exactly. So that's number one. Moving on to number two. Number two is pretty much the same thing. We're just adding another strike, and it's actually the number 2 strike. So we've come 1. We're just going to bring it back over here. So it's almost, so we're not going all the way down and coming up. We're striking across more. All right. So I'll have Miss Matthews here. We're going to strike our number 1 strike. We're going to pass and bring it back over here so that we are ready for our number 2, which comes back, hits on the other side, and from here we circle back. So 1, pass, 2, circle back. 1, pass, 2, circle back. 1, pass, 2, circle back. All right. Again, I like to actually imagine targets if I don't have a partner to do this on. So if I have Bob here, I'm going to just imagine the other side is the other side of his neck is the other target I want. So 1, 2, 1, 2. And actually, this is these are actually kind of cool if you learn how to do them fast. Once you have the rhythm, try to do it fast and see if you can. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right. And then go ahead, yeah. So that's one side. And again, like I said, once you do one side, you know how to do it on the other. Just switch hands. Get used to the feeling on the other side. So me and Miss Matthews are going to do the other side now. We'll do 1 to start with. So 1, circle back. 1, 1. Now 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right. So whatever you do one side, you do the other. One other thing that we're going to go over is fan. So fan is pretty much where we're pretty much making a fan. All right. If I speed this up really quick, you'll kind of notice that the weapon blurs. I'm not sure if it's easy to see on the screen or not, but the weapon will blur, and you kind of make like a fan motion or a fan look, I guess. With your weapon. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that, but we're going to practice speeding it up, all right? Most of the time you'll do this above your head, but I have seen it done, especially in forms in front of you. So we're going to go ahead and practice the over the head one. That's the one that most people learn anyways. You'll notice that we grab our wrists, all right? That'll be the first thing we go over. You notice how we grab our wrist. This is for support. So I'm not going to actually like completely grab onto my wrist, death grip it. I don't want to do that. It's more just kind of to keep my wrist in place, keep my hand where it is. That way I can let the weapon go and just provide a little support for that wrist because this is all wrist motion pretty much. All right. So if you have a partner to practice with, your partner's just going to hold their weapon out like this, and they're just going to stand right in front of you with the weapon. From here, I'm going to start from here with my weapon behind me, and I'm going to hit both sides of the weapon. All right. Challenge here is how many times can you hit the weapon within a given amount of time? 30 seconds, 1 minute. How fast can you hit this weapon? For me, I got this one pretty fast. All right.
If you have a partner, hold it straight out from your shoulders so you are sticking above your head. As your arms get tired and it drops, I would not recommend this.
Hit him in the face.
Hold it up.
All right. So, and this is really good as a warm-up as well, all right, because we're getting that body moving. Our arms are up, so we're trying to get that strength in our arms. Wrists are moving to help get those wrists warmed up. And practice this on both sides. I'm honestly more stronger in my right hand than my left hand, but that's because I use my right hand with this more. And then this one, this one can also be used on the door frame as well, if you have, or on the door, not the door frame, same thing. But just make sure that you have something to keep that door held. That way it doesn't, move on you. Or if you want a little extra challenge, don't put anything there. See see if you can just tap it really fast and get to the other side before it goes anywhere far. What?
Tree.
A tree.
Backyard
Go outside,
tree.
practice
It's
on a
not
tree or
raining on
something.
us.
Unless there's nothing else to do, yeah, don't hit your house. All right, so that's pretty much it for me. Those are stuff for you guys to work on. Yeah.
Mr. Matthews is going to show you some advanced techniques. Only he's going to demonstrate with the sword. So if any of you have the sword, you may pull it out, but you're going to do the same thing
It's
with
bang
your
money.
bang
Ignore
money.
the sword. Anything you can do with a bang money, you
Some
can
of
do
them
with a
have
sword. All right, so don't. If you have a bang money in your hand right now, just keep it. Now the thing about this sword is, once it's drawn from its sheath, I cannot put it back until it's drawn blood. So somebody's getting cut today. Okay. So I'm going to teach you two techniques. You're going to do a flower. Now, most of the stuff that becomes tricks with bang mangi are like throws. So there aren't a whole lot of flashy moves if you can only do so many figure eights. You can only do so many figure eights before you run out of things to do. So, I mean, you can toss the weapon and stuff, but outside of that, it's going to be really just tosses and strikes, like fast strike combos. So we're going to do a flower, which is a good way to get into a toss, and we're going to toss. So to do a toss, it's really simple. You cross your hands very similar to the way I showed you bow. I throw the weapon up, and this hand stays facing up until the hilt comes back down to my palm. And I just watch and count just up, down. You're doing a bang mangi, it spins faster, so just keep in mind how fast it's going before you go. So now we're going to hit the flower, because the toss, you guys don't really need my help to practice throwing it. You can practice that on your own. But the flower is this move right here, and I use this in a spin typically. So I'm going to start off with a figure eight. Thumb down, I'm in my right hand, thumb down, scoop up. So step one, scoop ice cream. Now I'm going to do a normal spin, if you've been practicing your spins like this. I'll do the normal spin, but I'm going to do it behind me. When you do it behind you, it spins that direction, and put the two together, scoop in front, spin behind. Now you've got your first figure eight. Swoop, swoop. The smaller motion you make with your wrist, the faster it's going to go. But at the beginning, if you don't know how to figure eight, you can make this big swinging motion where I can scoop up, like I'm trying to drag the ground in front and drag the ground in the back. You can make bigger motions to make it a little bit easier to understand until you can start doing the motion with just your wrist. Now, to get to the other side, to do my reverse figure eight over here, I have to go thumbs down and do this little dip. So after I go figure eight, I'm going to point the weapon at the ground till my thumb's all the way to the ground and turn my hand backwards. From here, I'm going to kind of drag the weapon, almost like I want to wipe it off on my leg. Right? So I'm going to go figure eight, thumb down, and drag it. Now from right here, this is a really awkward position to sit in. I'm going to go straight up with my first spin, and then thumbs down like I'm trying to tap my opposite shoulder. So not the same side, opposite side. Don't actually hit your shoulder, but it's similar to that. Let the weapon continue on that path all the way to the ground and point up, almost like you're trying to cut up to the ceiling. So you've got your first figure eight, thumb down, drag it, then I'm going to go spin up, point down behind me, and chop up. And then you start to put both pieces together, or start with one motion. So I'll go one motion here, do the drag, then one motion here, and then go back to the beginning. And then again, one motion, drag. Notice my thumb turns upside down as I do that, but if you are still confused with that, do the thumb first, thumb down, then turn. So my hand's upside down, it's backwards. Back of my hand's facing my leg. Once again, like I'm wiping the weapon up on my pants. Then reverse figure eight. From there, bring it back to here. So from one side to the other side, from one side to the other side, from one side. And then what I'm going to do for my actual combo is we're going to spin out of this part. That makes it a little bit easier to control because the weapon will kind of do its own thing and I don't have to try to force it back to the side. So to do that, still want to do it slow. Figure 8, thumb down, hands backward, like I'm trying to put it backward on my pocket. Turn, I'm going to hit the first side and step. So now as it comes down, instead of me staying in this position, it's still going to go down the same way, but I'm going to step and turn around. I'm going to let it come down over here. Then I will finish my spin with my feet and throw the weapon. So turning flower into a toss, it's figure 8, thumb down, step, step again, toss. One more time slow, figure 8, it's upside down. I'm going to step right here and do the first spin. So same spin, don't change your spin, just make sure you're adding a step here. Step, still spin the same way. It still comes back towards my opposite shoulder like it did before, like I was going to come up here, but I'm going to turn as that happens. So, like I'm going to poke the ground over here. And then it's still coming up towards the other shoulder from right here as I move my foot. And it is tossed. And then you just slowly put it together. Stop. Until you can go fast. All right? So that is your trick for today with this weapon. Now we're going to move on to bow. Alright, now I will set this up for anybody who is practicing along with us on Thursdays. Pick one weapon to get good with. Don't pick every weapon. So if you wanted to do sword or bang mangi, as I move on to this, just keep doing your bang mangi. Okay, work on one weapon, make it good. If you wanted to do chucks, you're still on chucks right now. Okay, if you're trying to do bow, then you know at the end we're gonna do bow. You can use the other weapons to warm up if you have them. Otherwise, this is gonna be what you practice after I leave. So because everybody else has done a basic, I will give you guys a basic before we do a trick. And the tricks we did last week, we did the 5, the 6, and the star front. I don't think we did this star, that one. We went this star. All right, so anyway, that's what we did last week. This week, I'm going to teach you a roll. Let's start off with our basic though. Rifle grip. Right hand's up, left hand is down. This can be done both ways, so you simply slide your hands back and forth, which if you go to a seminar, this is actually one of the drills that they teach you. I can't do on this weapon because the grip actually stops my hands from sliding. That's why it's there. All right, so I'm holding the weapon in the thirds. The middle is the smallest third. My left hand is going to be, Jesus, every day, something like this. All right, so that makes it so that the weapon can move in and out, and this is called telescoping. So when I'm doing both side hand combos, I hold close, and then I slide it out to do bigger strikes. So we're going to start with the first strike, load it up, and I'm going to strike straight forward. And my left hand, you'll see, slides back as I hit that strike. Now I'm going to slide it back in, and we're going to go up and down on the left shoulder. Boom, boom. All right, so if I'm facing you, notice it starts on my right, I go punch, and now I'm going to go to my opposite shoulder, up and down on the same side. And then we'll go across both sides. So straight across one side to my shoulder and back to where I started. All right, so one more time, strike forward, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do it sideways so you can see what I'm talking about. This hand slides out for the big strike, and it slides back in for the little ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so this is what you want to practice to get speed in striking combos. This is one of the more basic striking combos you can put in an extreme or creative form. But once you get a little bit more skilled and advanced, the strike combos will become a little bit more complex. Now, the one thing I do want to avoid is getting too spin happy with this weapon. All the tricks are very spinny, very flashy, releases, body rolls. There's so many things you can do with this weapon. And because of that, a lot of people try to take every single trick that they can do and cram it into a form. Which, if you can only do 2 or 3 tricks, that's not a bad thing. However, if you have like 20 tricks, your entire form turns into spins, and there are no strike combos. So I like to get strikes out of my spins, or out of my strike combos, whatever, spin combos, into, say, that strike. So taking what we did last week with that basic combo. All right, so now I'm gonna go body roll. We're gonna try to go around the world, and I'm gonna show you the way I learned it first. The person that I learned this from, I forgot his last name. I was gonna give him a shout out. His name is Nate. His last name started with an A. Alright, so like Andrassi or something like that. Anyway, we're gonna start holding the weapon really low. This is the first way that I learned how to do it. There is an easier way, which I'll show you in a second. We're gonna go thumb down, and I'm gonna try to stick my thumb in my armpit. The closer your hand comes to your arm, the easier this part's gonna be. If your hand is way down here, this is gonna be really hard to roll. So I need to bend my arm as far as my arm bends and push it over my shoulder. And it's also weird to do it slow like that, so I'm holding it low, not holding it in the middle. Hold it below center. Look how low I'm holding. And then hand stays really close to my shoulder so that there's plenty of weapon to roll. If you're holding it down here, there's not that much weapon there to roll, and it's just going to slide off the back. Okay, so you want to get that part first, then you're going to do the same thing with the opposite hand, but I'm not going to do the opposite shoulder. Do the same shoulder with the opposite hand. So I'm going to start with my left hand now. Because my left hand can get closer to my shoulder than my right hand can, I don't need to hold it as low. So I'm not holding it down here anymore. I'm not holding it, for me, at the base of my grip. So just off center. But I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go underneath the same shoulder, so you should be crossing your arm this time. Once I get back here, push it straight up into your other hand. So across, under your shoulder, and up into the opposite hand. Very similar to flip-flop that you did with Chuck's, where you went here, pretty much the same move, just coming from a diagonal. All right, so that's step 1. You don't move on to step 2 until you get that one down. You got that one down, you're gonna go on to step 2, which is I'm gonna get to here and I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna just practice neck roll. This is kind of like a half roll. So from my right hand's gonna throw and catch. I'm gonna put it behind my neck and I'm gonna catch this side right here with the same hand. Right hand has to catch. Okay, so again, from right here, right hand throws and catches. Now this is the weird part. It's easier to do on the other hand. I told you the other side's easier, but this is how I learned it, so that's why I want to show it to you. And then you can break it up by going here. Catch, throw. Okay, step 1 and step 2. Now step 1 and 2 with the other hand, I'm going to throw it over here and catch same way and throw. Okay, so left hand under and turn. Now to get it around my neck, you'll also notice that I'm not standing just static and throwing like this. That's a little sketch. I actually kind of move my shoulder side to side because the weapon's going to be here on this side, so I turn my body so that my weapon has something to sit on. I want it to sit on my shoulder. So I can just try to throw the weapon around to my shoulder, but I can make this a little bit easier by also moving my shoulder. It's just like catching a weapon. If I let my hand stay still, I can catch the weapon if I throw it perfect, but it'll make it a little easier if my hand matches the weapon as well. So the weapon's going to come down to my hand, and my hand's going to move. You're catching it with your shoulder, so when it comes around, move your shoulder underneath the weapon. It'll make it a little easier. Last step, the hard part, you do this without touching the weapon in the middle. So instead of me catching right here, going to let it go around your neck. Alright, so the first thing I need to do is get enough of the weapon that it's going to fall right here. So it feels like it's about to fall. If I let it go, it falls forward. If it's not high enough to keep going forward like that, where it's going to fall over, pretty much just like that, then you won't be able to do it. So you need to make sure you push it hard enough that it feels like it's going to fall all the way over. Hold it low enough, get your hand close enough, and push it hard enough. All of that's going to affect, whether this weapon goes over your shoulder. And then I'm simply going to put my head in the way for this one. So the weapon's spinning kind of like this. So I'm going to put my head in the way, and it's going to roll over my neck. So it's going to go over my shoulder, and then move my head into the weapon, to the right. Don't go away from it, go into it. And try to get your head out of the way of where the weapon's going to go. It's coming on their shoulder. So when I move my head like this, there's plenty of space here for the weapon to fall. And you put it together. Here, here, pow. So get your little Chris Tucker dance going in the middle. Boom, to the right. Boom, to the left. All right, so I also normally load it up with that spin with this right here. And when I do it like that, it goes a little bit more diagonal. And when it goes diagonal, it's easier to get this. I don't have to move so much to get in here. Now, that is the way that I learned this move, and that is probably the most difficult way to do it. So doing it with my left hand is significantly easier. I'm going to take my left hand now and go underneath my shoulder. And there's two things I'm going to do different. One, I'm not going to turn nearly as much when I do this because it's going at that diagonal. Two, I'm going to start with my right shoulder high. So I'm going to lean away from the weapon. So my right shoulder is the highest, and it'll kind of make it spin around the highest point. So if I was going around my hand, it'd go around the highest point of my hand. I could do the same thing with my elbow. You're doing it with your shoulder, right? So it's spinning around my shoulder by me leaning and making my shoulder the highest point on this line. Notice how it's still going flat. So now instead of me turning sideways, I simply stand up. When I stand up, I'm moving into the weapon, and it will continue to roll flat. All right, so I'm going from my left hand, still catching it with my right. Right shoulder up, around, stand up. Okay, one more time. Around, stand up. So if you ever see me doing this, I'm trying to see, how many of these I can do in a row. That's what I'm doing, you just like passing it back and forth between your shoulders. That move took me quite a bit of time to get down, but once you get it down, there's a lot of fun things you can do with it. So you got your basics for chucks and your advanced with chucks. Basics with bong mangi and advanced with bong mangi. You also have your basics with bow and your advanced with bow. Practice whatever weapon you want to be good at. Put a lot of time into it if you want to actually get some skill with it, okay? All right, guys, that's it for today. Without further ado,